Hi, you're watching us on NewsX YouTube. My name is Devika Chopra. With me is Rishabh Gulati, and today, Rishabh, we will be talking about China's sort of silent invasion of the Himalayas. If you can begin, Rishabh, by telling us the sort of infrastructural activities that are taking place, and then we'll also talk about the demographic changes that are taking place because of those economic activities. But let's begin by talking about the dams that China has been building.
You know, dams, railways and roads. This is how China has been operating since the early 1950s, okay? And this is how they do it. First, they build the infrastructure, so they'll build the road, okay? Then they will send in commercial traders. Those commercial traders will then start taking over all commercial establishment. Go to Kathmandu today, okay? And you'll find a lot of the casinos, a lot of the currency traders are all being run by Chinese people, okay? Not Nepali people, Chinese people. So first they build the road, then they send in the commercial people. After they send in the commercial traders, they then start sending demographic change. So they start sending Han migrants. And once all those are established, then they change the map. Okay. And if you oppose the change of the map, they say, now we will fight you. We will send our troops forward. This is exactly what they did, and the lesson we learned in 1957 when we discovered on Indian soil in Aksai Chin that the Chinese had already built a road. Now, Aksai Chin is a sparsely inhabited area. Okay, we are talking about the 1950s when we did not have massive aerial reconnaissance or satellite tracking happening. So they had already built the road. They had built it. Okay, they didn't ask for permission. They built the road, and when you objected to them building a road, they say, now this is our territory, it's our road, we are now planting an outpost here and we are putting armed people there. So the road building activity was discovered in 1957. For 5 years, we kept arguing with them, please don't build the road, and they kept on upgrading the road and stretching it further into the Himalayas, because the reality is China does not have or did not have access into the Himalayas. Their plan is to come down to the floodplains of northern India. They want their infrastructure access directly to the floodplains of North India. How are they doing it? They do three things: river, road, railways. What do you do with, how do you control the rivers? You control the rivers by building dams. The Chinese currently are now trying to build a dam in Gilgit-Baltistan on the Indus River. The very name of India comes from the Indus River. Guess who's building a major dam there? It's a $5 billion project. Who's building it? The Chinese. Where are they building it? In Gilgit-Baltistan. It's called the Daimar Basha Dam. This is the dam to which India has very recently objected to the Chinese. $5.8 billion deal. It's going to be built on Indian soil on the river Indus. It's unbelievable the way they are operating, and the Pakistanis are more than happy to hire them. The people of Gilgit-Baltistan don't want it. I spoke with representatives who are in exile of Gilgit-Baltistan just a few days ago, and they are strongly opposed to the building of this Chinese dam. So this is where they're building the dam, bang in the middle of the Himalayas, okay, on the Indus River. The Indus River, of course, generates in the Himalayas, as do all the great floodplain. All the great rivers of Asia emanate from the Tibetan plateau on one side and the other, okay. So all the great Chinese rivers, which is the Yellow River, the Yangtze River, come from the Tibetan plateau. All the great Indian rivers, which is the Brahmaputra, the Ganga, consequently the Yamuna, and the Indus and the rivers of the Punjab, Jhelum, all originate in the Himalayas. What do you want to do? You want to control the rivers. How do you control the rivers? Have your dam on each one of them. Okay. So the particular dam that they are building here in Gilgit-Baltistan, the Daimar Basha Dam, it will flood a large area of Gilgit-Baltistan. So hundreds of thousands of acres will be put under water. You control the water, you control the power generation, you control flooding, you control droughts. So control the rivers. That's agenda number one. They've already built, and we've been having this argument, Devika, for the past, since I was in school, okay. 15 years we've been having this argument of the dams that they're building on the Sangpo. The Sangpo is the Brahmaputra, okay. Where does the Brahmaputra end up? It goes through Assam. It takes a huge, it's a hairpin cut through Arunachal into Assam and in Bangladesh, okay. But it flows through Tibet. So what they've done since they've occupied Tibet is that they have built dam after dam after dam. They're building these dams. One is called Dagu, one is called Jeju, other is called Zangmu, and the fourth one is called Jiacha. Okay, Zangmu is already constructed, finished, ready, it's operational. The other 3 are being built. The Chinese keep calling them run-of river projects. Run-of river basically means we don't stop the water. That's, I don't know what invective to use. That's a lie. Okay, it's bull. These dams are being constructed to control the Brahmaputra. The Chinese have done exactly the same, and anybody watching this can just simply Google this. They have built 11 massive dams on the Mekong River. Okay, and the Mekong River, which then flows into Laos, Cambodia, Thailand, all the way to Vietnam, they now control all the water. They have at times caused vast droughts where literally the water in the mighty Mekong, the Mekong is the Amazon of Asia, okay, has dried up. No water to even run a boat on. Forget to go fishing. And during the flooding season, they release more water. So it's a strategic asset, and it is an asset through which, if during a flooding season you release more water, so the country downstream gets flooded. Okay, during a drought season you shut off the water, so then they have a drought. You control water traffic because the level of the water, you control trade and transport. Everything you control by building these dams, and they are building them all over the Himalayas. They're doing it on the Indus, they've already done it on the Brahmaputra, and that's the reality of it. So if tomorrow flooding in Assam and in Bangladesh and Bengal will be controlled by Chinese dams operating in Tibet if they complete all 4 of them, and that's the reality. As we speak, in Nepal, there are 2 major dam projects. One is a $2.5 billion project in Buddhi Gandaki. This is the Budh Ganga, which flows in Nepal, and the other is called the West Seti projects. Under a lot of Indian objection, you know what they wanted to do? They wanted to, the Chinese, the Three Gorges Dam Company, which built the massive Three Gorges Dam in China, was contracted by the Nepalese to build these dams. The Chinese wanted to build dams in Nepal and sell the hydropower to India. And when India said we don't want the hydropower and put pressure on the Nepalese, these 2 projects were cancelled. But now under the present government, they are being revived. So the present government position is that they are open to the Three Gorges company coming and building these dams. So one is a $2.5 billion projects, other is a $1.8 billion projects. So you dam the Nepalese rivers also. So you dam the Tibetan rivers, you dam the Brahmaputra, you dam the Nepalese rivers, you dam the Jhelum, you dam the Indus, you control the waterine riverways of the Indian subcontinent by building dams. That's number 1. Then of course, Devika, you have railways and roadways.
Absolutely. Some very sophisticated railways being constructed in several parts, Rishabh. We've also been discussing it over the course of the last week or so.
Okay. The reality is today you can get on a train in Beijing and get off the train in Lhasa. Okay. The first of course was the standard gauge line. So standard gauge line is not a toy train, and this was the biggest it was the biggest wool poured over the eyes of the Indian establishment. Okay, when the Chinese were building the train, and people here thought, oh no, mountain train hogi na, it'll be like one of the toy trains, when you see in Darjeeling types, it'll be a small toy train connecting. It's a standard gauge line with the full capacity to upgrade it to a broad gauge line. They've already built the standard gauge line, and this is next to the highway that they built through Aksai Chin. This goes from Lhasa to Zigazé. There are 2 railway lines that connect Lhasa. One is coming from Xinjiang, okay, and the other is coming from Qinghai that goes towards the east and connects all the way up to Beijing. So 2 railway lines have already been built. The Qinghai line is a standard gauge line, okay, and it doesn't stop there. No, they've already built the line from Lhasa to Zigazé. And from Zigazé at Kerung, they are now planning to construct it to the Nepal border. From the Nepal border, they will construct a railway line all the way to Kathmandu. And from Kathmandu, they plan to construct the railway line to Lumbini. Lumbini is the Indian border. Okay. So you will have a direct railway line from Beijing to the Indian border. They'll have built it. Now the railways, of course, so again, you build the railway, then comes trade. Trade is coming from where? From Tibet. From Nepal. Trade is coming from China, no? So then the trade will come from China. Then the Chinese traders will set up shops all along at all the train stations. Everything will be owned by the Chinese. They will control the commercial aspect of it. You control the commercial, you control the economy. You control the economy, the people become dependent on you. People become dependent on you, then you bring in the military to safeguard your assets. Same thing they're doing with the CPEC corridor currently in Pakistan. The same thing is being done in Kathmandu. Lumbini is the Indian border to which they want to construct the railway to, and the current Nepalese establishment seems to be more than happy of letting them do it. So from this railway line, you can go Lhasa all the way to Beijing, you can go Lhasa all the way to Shanghai, you can via Golmud, you can go to Chengdu and down to Hong Kong. Okay, same trunk line, railway line. So this is the aggressive nature of the railway expansion. They are currently now building that Xinjiang Lhasa railway. The plans have already been approved, and the work is under construction progress. This is starting from Hetan in Xinjiang. It goes through Shigatse, which is where the highway runs from, and then connects to Lhasa. So you'll have two railway lines, the one from Qinghai already operational, and the one coming in from Xinjiang under construction. This railway line will be running parallel to the northern end side of the Himalayas, so parallel to the Indo-Nepal border. Okay, and this is the area of the Kailash Mansarovar, the lake, Mount Kailash. This will be a Chinese railway line going all the way to Lhasa. So the railway line is well under construction, Devika, and you add the roadway network to this, and this is how they're planning their Himalayan invasion.
Absolutely, Rishabh. And then let's also quickly talk about the third aspect of it. As you said, roadways. What are they doing on that front?
I'll simply put it, Highway 109, the Chinese call it G109, connects Beijing to Lhasa. As simple as that. They have a highway like we have a GT Karnal, you have your NH8, NH this, NH1, NH1A. They have their own highway system. Highway 109 connects Beijing to Lhasa. Okay. Highway 219, that's the road that goes through Aksai Chin. Okay. This connects Xinjiang to Lhasa. So two major highway connections, one coming in from the west and one coming in from the northeast, are already constructed. We caught them in 1957. Okay. What we found, what is now called the Xinjiang-Tibet Highway, starts in Yecheng. The other is called the Sichuan-Tibet Highway. This goes from Chengdu to Lhasa. The Xinjiang-Tibet Highway is 4,000 kilometers long. The Sichuan-Tibet Highway is 2,100 kilometers long. Okay. And it's not a dirt track. Most of the highway is an 8-lane road. Even in the worst places where they have to climb mountains, it's a decent enough road, roughly similar to what the Chandigarh-Shimla highway is. So it's a full metal road that is capable of carrying heavy transport. All right, so it's not a dirt track. So you build the railway line, you build the highways. What comes with the highways? First of all, you bring in the commercial trade parts. You can start doing trucks, buses, but you can start doing military hardware. So your tanks can come in. They don't have to be airlifted. They can simply military columns can come in, and this is exactly why they're building the road network there. And if you look at the road, if you look at Lhasa, okay, and just southeast of Lhasa, there is a place called Shannan. Okay, from Shannan, they have built a road that goes straight to the Indian border near Tawang in Arunachal Pradesh. This road serves no purpose but to access the border areas and provide military capability all the way up to the border with Arunachal, which is for us we recognize as Tawang. This serves no purpose other than the military purpose. Now, do we have border roads also that serve principally military purpose? Yes, we do, but they have built it through the most inhospitable parts of the Himalayas. We have great ability to build these border roads, and we should not lose this ability to advantage the Chinese. So they built from Shannan, okay, directly to near the border, Indian border with Tawang. From just east of Shannan, there is a place called Nyingchi. Now Nyingchi is very close to Namcha Barwa, the peak. This runs parallel to the Arunachal border, okay, and connects it with Shannan. They have built a major road from Shigatse into the Chumbi Valley. Now Chumbi Valley is the Chinese salient. You remember Doklam? Okay. So this is the area. So Chumbi Valley, so you have Sikkim, you have the area of the Indian state of Sikkim, and then you have Bhutan, and you have a gap in between. That gap in between is called the Chinese salient. This Chinese salient is the Chumbi Valley. You have Doklam to the east of the Chumbi Valley, and they have built a road that connects Shigatse straight into the Chumbi Valley, again almost right to the Indian border. Okay, into this salient they built a road. They've also built if you go to Kailash Mansarovar Yatra, the Chinese have built in a major road that is connecting the Mansarovar Lake to what they call the Burang County. Okay, again a major metal road is being built there. These are not a secret. You can find them on Google Maps. Okay, and you find the road comes all the way to the Indian border and then disappears. It's been built. Okay, then the reality is that the highway that connects to Mount Kailash is the same G219 that goes through Aksai Chin. Same highway with which we have to access Mount Kailash is the same road the Chinese couldn't have built if they hadn't occupied Aksai Chin, which is why they are so panicky about what's happening in Ladakh and what infrastructure building we are doing, because they've already done it. They've built the dams, they built the railways, they've already built the roadways. You know that they have now claimed Mount Everest. So Mount Everest is the border line between Nepal and China. The southern side of Mount Everest is the Nepali side, which is the easier to climb. That's why we've heard of it more. The northern face of Mount Everest is on the Chinese side, and not on the Chinese side, the Tibetan side. Okay, they've claimed Mount Everest. They've even put a Huawei 5G tower on base camp of Mount Everest. Okay, what more sign of Chinese claim do you want of even Mount Everest? Okay, now further then they have a highway that goes, the Yunnan-Tibet highway. Now that's further south. So there are three Tibetan highways. Okay, I pointed out the Sichuan-Tibet highway, the Xinjiang-Tibet highway, and the Yunnan-Tibet highway. The Yunnan-Tibet highway goes further south, runs parallel to the Chinese border with Myanmar. So on all sides, they're building dams to control the rivers. You control the rivers, you control not only floods, it becomes strategic assets in droughts and during rainy season. You control river traffic, you control river trade. You build the railway lines, you build the roadways, and then you bring about commercial change, then you bring about demographic change, and then you simply put an area on your map. You republish a map and say this is now Chinese. And when you object, you say, look, our railway is already here, our road is already here. Those people are well supplied because they have the road and railway, so they can bring in heavy machinery, heavy tanks, heavy bulldozers. Everything is available to them, and that's how you control. This is how the Chinese do it. Their invasion of the Himalayas began in 1957. They are not stopping until somebody chooses to stop them. They want to do the same thing in Nepal. They're doing the same thing in POK, Gilgit-Baltistan. Had India not had the relationships it has with Bhutan, they would have done the same thing. Tibet has already been taken over, and they want to be able to reach the Indian border with all these trunk routes. And it's our decision to make that for every road that they are building, every dam that they are building, and every single railway trunk line that they are building, that we are matching them step by step. Otherwise, we are at a massive disadvantage. Today, if the Chinese were to cut off India's chicken's neck, which is the Siliguri corridor, okay, that runs just south of Sikkim, that connects, just think about it, north of Bangladesh is connecting to the north of India. It's called the Siliguri chicken's neck. Today, if they wanted to do it, they have the access of a metal road to the Chumbi Valley, which they did not have a few decades ago. The strategic strength was with India because India controlled the plains, so the strategic supply route, we had the strategic advantage. They are trying to nullify the strategic advantage because you can't, it's very difficult to even do helicopter operations, air operations at 5,000 meters, 6,000 meters above the sea level, let alone bring in heavy equipment, heavy artillery, heavy tanks. They can now do it because of the infrastructure construction that they've done. So everything that we do now has to be, first you counter with infrastructure, then you can counter with other things. Devika.
Absolutely, Rishabh. Thank you so much for that extensive analysis of how the Chinese are invading the Himalayas and what is it that the Indian government then needs to focus on as far as China is concerned in these particular areas. Thank you so much for watching. If you like it, do share.
For more such videos, subscribe to the NewsX YouTube channel, hit the bell icon.